My name is David Swift-Rollinson. I'm a murder squad detective. What you're about to see is the true story of a brutal crime and how we caught the people responsible. On the evening of Wednesday the 24th of January 2018, a plot which had previously been hatched was carried out to kidnap an elderly Leicester jeweller and rob his safe. It went disastrously wrong and ended with the death of the jeweller. This is the story of the crime and how we brought those responsible to justice. Ramniklal Jogiya was a 74-year-old man who was devoted to his wife and his children. He ran a jeweller's shop on Belgrave Road, Leicester. Every night he would set the alarms before locking up the shop and walking the short distance home. When Mr. Jogiya failed to arrive home, his family walked to the shop but found no trace of him. They then rang his phone, but it wasn't answered. Having made further checks, they rang the police. We immediately looked at the CCTV from the jeweller's shop. The footage showed Mr. Jogiya locking up his shop at around 7:45 that evening and setting off on his walk home. Checks of other CCTV cameras began to tell the story of what then happened. One camera showed Mr. Jogiya walking towards a white transit van parked nearby, just 2 minutes after leaving his shop. As he approached the vehicle, men were seen leaving the van and bundling the terrified jeweller into the back of the vehicle. Around 45 minutes later, another camera showed a person dressed in a burqa and wheeling a shopping trolley entering the shop. This person was seen to head towards the rear of the shop where the safe was kept, and then leaving the shop a minute later, seemingly empty-handed. Other cameras showed this person walking away from the jewellers, still disguised in a burqa, turning a corner and disappearing out of view. Later that evening, Mr. Jogiya's mobile phone was found abandoned in Rectory Road in Wanlip. The following day, Mr. Jogiya's body was sadly found in Gorby Lane, Stoughton. He was pronounced dead and the inquiry immediately turned into a murder investigation. CCTV was to play a critical part in this investigation. It had already proved that Mr. Jogiya had been kidnapped. It was now to help us find those responsible and the vehicles which they had used. Detectives spent hours and hours viewing cameras from all over the city which formed a picture of the vehicles that had been used by the men responsible. First was the white transit van used to kidnap Mr. Jogiya. Inquiries then revealed that 2 blue Ford Fiestas had also been involved. One was seen in convoy with the van in the Belgrave Road area shortly before the kidnap. The vehicles were again shown appearing to be driving in convoy after Mr. Jogiya had been bundled into the van. We established that the second Ford Fiesta drove out of Birstall shortly after the van. This vehicle was also seen to collect the person who had entered the jewellers wearing the burqa. We were also able to prove that a motorbike had been riding in convoy with the van in the area of Elston Lane during the very early hours of Friday the 26th of January. The van was found burnt out later that morning. Throughout the investigation, we made appeals to the public for help in catching those responsible for the horrific attack on Mr. Jogiya, and the public responded superbly. Several people came forward with critical information which helped us narrow our focus onto a key number of suspects. This information, the CCTV images, forensic examination of various scenes, and a meticulous examination of mobile phones used by the suspects all helped bring us close to the point of arresting them. We also found more CCTV footage, this time of one of the suspects leaving a shopping centre in Leicester, carrying a shopping trolley on the day of the kidnap. On top of this, we examined a stolen van, which had been found in the Birstall area the day before Mr. Jogiya had been kidnapped. In the back of the van, we found a shopping trolley, some Asian clothing, cloned stolen number plates, and cable ties, which had been crudely secured together to form a type of restraint. After painstaking work, we were now ready to arrest the men suspected of this terrible crime, and, one by one, 4 men were arrested and charged with various offences. A 6-month investigation reached a conclusion today in the Crown Court at Birmingham when the jury returned their verdicts. I'd like to end with a thank you to the community who helped us to solve this crime, to the many police officers, police staff and specialists who worked tirelessly to bring the offenders to justice, but above all to Mr. Jogiya's family, who showed great dignity throughout the investigation in what has been a harrowing and horrific time. I thank you.